times we don't think that, oh, this is something important. Like, really, is God going to give me this capacity to enter into book writing or something? But you'll be amazed to find out that you are actually one of those who are called to go in this direction. And yeah, and even if you are not, the information could help someone else at another time. So I'm going to start sharing my screen very soon. And then, okay, we can move on. Okay, I hope you're ready. Please, I like questions because questions are the life of every presentation. So please ask me questions. Ask me questions that you think I don't have the answer to, so that I can look foolish and then we can all discover the answer together. So please, let's ask questions. Let's feel free to ask questions. All right. I'm going to share my video, my screen. All right. Please, can come on, someone confirm if they can see my screen? Then I can just move on.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you. And it's really loaded, but I'm going to run through and just go through. So if you have any question at any point in time, just feel free to stop, so that, like, I'm here for the questions, because this may not help you as much as the questions that you have on your heart. So I'm here for the questions. So let's dig into it. Okay, all right. So I choose to start with this. My people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. And as I move on through the slides, you will understand why this scripture is relevant to us as a group, for us to remember that God says knowledge is important. And the more knowledge we have, the more our lives are preserved. The less knowledge we have, the more our lives are destroyed, in a sense. So, and one of the sources of knowledge is, well, knowledge is from information, and one of the sources of information is a book. So that's why we are on this journey, so that we can save many people from distraction. All right. So I'm going to take us to what we are going to be doing this evening. I don't like telling people what the content of a presentation is. So this is what you should expect. We are going through the 5 stages. When we go through the 5 stages, you will see what the 5 stages are, and then you can ask your questions. All right. So I'm going to start with a question. Can everyone be a writer? I don't know. Can everyone be a writer? And probably my answer is, well, yeah, in a sense, and for 3 reasons why I think everyone can be a writer. The first is that skills exist at different levels. Why am I saying this? Everybody can attempt to write, because everybody writes at a certain level. So someone's writing may be better than another person's own. It doesn't mean that the person cannot write. So the fact that you don't write as well as somebody that you admire doesn't mean that you cannot write. All right. Somebody's writing skills may be higher than yours and all that, but it still doesn't take away the fact that you can and you should try to explore writing. When we talk about writing, it doesn't mean a big book. It can mean anything. It can mean I don't know, SMS. It can mean a blog post. And sometimes I see people, I know someone I follow on Facebook, and he posts some of the most amazing things. I don't know, sometimes just a simple, no, not now, thank you. Sometimes just a simple post about something he's observed. And I realize that it's so deep, it's so touching. And I think to myself, like, that must be some kind of grace, because even though I write, I'm not the kind that like is heavy on the social media, but that person is so heavy on it and always writing sense and many things, even about just observations about life, family, and relates them to scripture. And so when we talk about improving your writing skills, becoming a writer, maybe God is calling you in a different way to use something, maybe just to start a blog where you share devotionals or things like that. And so, yes, you can be a writer because it doesn't mean a big book. And also because everybody needs to know how to write. So this, I'm trying to get points for myself and say, well, this is important because at one point or the other, you are going to need to know how to write. My boss always tells me that writing skills are like the fundamental skills in life. And if you can become better at it, if you can do it well, you succeed in whatever job you are doing. I can see some IT guys and mathematicians telling me, no, we don't need the writing skills, but you need it one day to send an email. So let's keep it at that. All right. I'm going to move on to why you should consider writing a book because I'm talking about a book. So if the book intimidates you, you can replace it with maybe why you should consider starting a blog or becoming consistent on social media or something. But when it comes to books, I would just share again three things that we can benefit from writing a book. The first is that you have the chance to change somebody, to transform lives. Now, when I say transform lives, don't think about Christian books. No, those are not the only books that are transforming lives. I recently read a book on growth hacker marketing. Has nothing to do with God or anything, but the insights in the book were so deep. It broke down why client referrals are so key to the growth of a business, and it has transformed a lot of things about the way I approach the work I do. And so book writing for some of us is, well, will someone benefit from this? It could change. It could even be a cookbook that will save somebody's marriage because, well, the lady doesn't know how to cook and the person chanced on your cookbook and all of a sudden, you've really transformed lives. So that's one reason why you should think about writing a book. It's a good source of extra income, and believe you me, it is a good source of extra income because a book is like something you do once and it keeps producing fruits for you over and over again. Of course, the initial investment is there, but after the initial investment, there is like such a big opportunity for you to keep getting income from it, passive, active, whatever. Sometimes authors die, like Shakespeare, and their families benefit. Their families get royalties when people use Shakespeare books for many years, even after. All right. And then the third reason why you should consider writing a book is that it enhances your reputation and credibility. Now, this is the same even across. Let me just get off books and talk about um just building a presence for yourself. So I don't know, but I'm assuming that most of us are professionals, whether we own our business or we work in a firm. And when we talk about building a reputation, even online, it's important for you to be intentional about it. So when you go to a site like LinkedIn, you see people posting stuff about different things that you may wonder, oh, this is boring. But the as soon as the person does it consistently, then the person begins to look like an authority on the matter. You get it? The person begins to look like an authority on the matter. So I remember that one of the things that, before I got this job, I used to write in the Business and Financial Times. I used to have a column called Mind Your Language. It was like an English lesson and all that. And my boss told me it was one of the things that fascinated her so much that she actually reached out to me and poached me and said, can you come and work with me? Because, well, I've seen that you write something like this. So it means that maybe you be good when it comes to writing in English and all that. So sometimes intentionally creating, building a reputation online, offline is very important. It is the same if you decide to take up book writing. Whew. All right. Are there any questions at this point? Otherwise, I am going to move on to the stages. I hope I'm not speaking too fast. Okay. So, ta-da-da, this is what we are going to be looking at today. So, the book writing process really is writing has three stages. We'll run through quickly. And then we have post writing. Some are post writing, some are not, but the post writing stages. So at the first level, we have the pre writing stage, we have the writing stage, and then we have the editing stage. So the ideation stage, the writing stage, and then the editing stage. Then after that, we talk about publishing, and then we talk about marketing. So basically, this is what we are going to be doing. And my work is to convince you and guide you to move from pre-writing stage to post-publishing stage to the point where hopefully, I mean, you can, I don't know, continue, um you can write and just continue your legacy through writing. All right. Okay, can I go ahead? I need one person to unmute and tell me yes, go ahead, and then I go ahead. I like interaction like that.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Bernard Shirame. Okay, so let's start with the ideation stage. I think for a lot of us, if you've never written, I should have asked if there are some authors here, but I'm assuming that there are. I'm really assuming that there are. So let's, but I'm also assuming that we also have some people that may not have written a book before. But at this point, I just want to take us through um the beginning stages. How do you birth an idea? How do you get an idea, and what do you do with the idea? So i I will attempt to look at it. There's so much information here, so I had to take out a lot of the information, try to compress it, and just go over the ones that I think we can finish within the 1 hour. All right. So when we talk about an idea, we are talking about the that trigger that is going to give you what the content of the book will be. So it's just a way of saying, something just came to my mind. Can we do something about it and make it a great book? So an idea is like a thought, it's an imagination, it's a picture, it's a plan, it's a belief, it's a suggestion, it's a concept, image, whatever. Okay, so I think most of us understand all these things. Recently, I edited a book for someone, and it is, I think, by far this year, it's one of the most controversial books I have seen on the matter of women equality. Really, the ideas are mind blowing and really unconventional, even from the perspective of the Bible. I thought it was so interesting. And so for someone like that, I would take it that he had an opinion or belief and felt, well, this is what people think, but I think differently. Can I write something about it? So that's it. You have a thought in your head. Okay, well, I think the way ladies dress today is really some way. Can I give like maybe can I write like a small booklet on do's and don'ts or etiquettes for dressing for young ladies or something, or anything like that that comes to your mind is what we call an idea. And the idea is your basis for the book. An idea can be anything. So I want to look at what are some of the ways we can get ideas, or how we get idea triggers. All right, very important part for us. So an event, something could happen in your life, and you could decide that, okay, based on this event, I'm going to write a book. All right. So you have, sometimes they call it memoir. Sometimes people write their life experiences about a certain part of their life. So recently, a friend of mine reached out to me and said she was going through a divorce and wanted to write about it. That's an event. And I felt okay, but she didn't want to use her name or anything like that. But it triggered the writing ability in her. And she was like, I think I have something to share with the rest of the world. Now I know some of you be saying in your head, hey, why would somebody write about divorce? But anyway, somebody's events that the person has passed through. And if we can find a way for it to end happily, or for the lessons to come out, we'll just go ahead with it. sometimes people speak to you. People ask you, why don't you write on this? Or you are so knowledgeable in this area. Sometimes somebody passes a comment that the way you talk about this is so different, or maybe it seems like you know something about this more than other people do. So as I'm speaking now, I hope you are thinking about your life. I mean, basically some of the comments that people have passed and areas in which you think, maybe that could be an idea trigger for me to try to put it together. We also have experiences. I think for me, experiences are the one of the biggest sources of idea triggers, especially for nonfiction books. So even as I talk about books, I could be talking about fiction, like stories, novels, and those ones people get it from watching things. Or you see something and go like, I can write a story about this. So some people are really good with the fiction, and some of us also prefer the motivational type or the manual type, any type of book that comes to our mind. So experiences, what have you been through that could be a blessing to someone? I recently started reading a very small book, but so profound. It's The Diary of a Missionary Woman. And from the way she writes, you can see that she's not a professional writer or anything, but her stories are so captivating. She spent 11 years on the mission field. She's Ghanaian, by the way. And after that, well, they eventually returned to Ghana, and she just chronicled her experiences very simply, straight to the point. No trying to write big words and complex sentences, but I was so blessed. And so many people write based on experiences. You have people who write, presidents who write about their experiences during their term of office. So ask yourself, what experience have I gone through that can help me I can share with other people? For example, I co-authored a book with my husband, The Gold Mine. It's about it's a book for university students on how they can navigate their 4 years in the university, because we've been to the university, all of us have been to the university, so we have an experience and we are authority figures in that area, if you think about it. So experience doesn't have to be wild. And then the last thing is divine inspiration, and that is sometimes God gives you a desire, a burden to write a certain book in a certain area, and you just have to put it down. I think of the Rick Joyner books, which are visions, revelations that he's just written down. And even myself, like I have a desire to really write a certain kind of book that I would naturally never write. And I feel like, well, maybe that's God. So as you listen to me, maybe there's I don't know, you've ever thought of putting something together. And like I'm saying, it can start as a small post, something online, and then it builds up, and then you move on from there. All right. How do you know if you want to test that you'll be able to write? Ooh, okay. 3 questions. Authority. Do you know what you're come to write about? Um, I may be interested in writing about AI. Yeah, but can I write about AI without sounding so novice? Unless, of course, I want to write something like the impact of AI on this field or something. So you must ask yourself if you possess good enough information on the subject matter, whether you are is something that you are convicted about, is something that you could defend because it's your book, is something that you'll be proud of producing, that I did this. And then also you have to check if you have a group of people who be ready to embrace. It's simple. You can just ask people around that, if I were to give you maybe a book on this or that, would you like to read it or something? We would be interested. And you'll be surprised that people can give you interesting perspectives about what you can do and how you can change it to just suit different things. All right. So if you want to know, check whether you have the authority, check whether it's authentic, and check whether you have the audience. So the 3 A's for you to remember. I'm going to go through some stages for us to just sort of remember when we are coming to write. So this is just the idea stage. So I'm assuming that at this point you are probably just thinking, should I write? Should I write? Should I write? Should I write? That's where you are. And then you're thinking, okay, she said we should have an idea. Okay, a trigger. Okay, I've had this experience, or I saw something, or I'm very passionate about something. So I want to write about it. What do I start doing? What can I do before I actually start writing? So I'll just take us through the steps. They will come at once. The first thing is for clustering. I had an image, but I took it out. So clustering just means we go around it. So for instance, if I want to write about, let's say, communication in marriage, all right. Now, when you pick communication in marriage, in your head, you'd be like, wow, what an exciting topic. But when you put it down, you realize that, hey, it's not communication marriage is a big this thing like that. Like there's so many areas you can look at. What kind of communication are we looking at? Are we looking at verbal communication? Are you looking at non-verbal communication? Are you going to be looking at five love languages? Are you going to be looking at the differences between men and women communication? Are you going to be looking at communication from the perspective of the Bible? Or you are going to be looking at theories of communication? Or you are going to be looking at communication even when kids are in? Like there's so much to write about. So what we advise is that when you have the idea, you start to draw these maps around it, so like little arrows around it, and then you try to like get ideas like, okay, what can come from here, what can come from here. Okay, so okay, if I want to, let's say, if I want to have this session on how to turn an idea into a book, it's a really big topic. So I have to decide that, okay, how could should I talk about writing styles? It's also an approach. Should I talk about types of books? Should I talk about I don't know, whatever. And then I decided, look, I'm going to do writing stages. So that's what clustering is about. It's about knowing what to do and then trying to pinpoint a few areas that you could focus on. Then when you are done with the clustering, then you do your research. You go online, you see there are books on the matter. Maybe sometimes even you had the idea from a certain book you read. Good. So that's already good research for you. And then you go around to see what people have written about it. And then you also have to choose your form and your style. Okay. So at this point, you decide what kind of book you want. You decide whether you are looking for a long book, a short book, like what do you want? What kind of thing do you want? And you don't have to figure it all out at once. No, you don't need. You just have to maybe say to yourself, okay, I want something like this. Okay. And sometimes I don't know how many of us know Praise George. When we're on campus, he used to sell a lot of his books. He has these really small books that he writes. So you can decide, okay, I want my book to look like Praise George's book. That's really small. Or I want something bigger. That's entirely up to you. Then you begin to start. Recently, somebody asked me, what should I do? Where do I start? I said, start from anywhere. Whatever you have, just put it down. After some time, it will all begin to make sense. All right. Okay. So if you're ready, you do the classroom, you do your research, then you choose how you want it to be. So for instance, I shared with you the friend of mine who said she wanted to write about the divorce that she was going through. Now, she was very clear. I'm not going to write a book about my life story. She wants it to be like a novel. So we are using third person, we're using characters, like a storybook. That's the whole aim. But there's a moral lesson about making decisions in life and what you need to think about and remember. So that is also something. So she, for instance, she had no idea what she even wanted to write. She just said, look, I want to write about my life. And I I don't want it to be like this is me saying this happened and this happened. So we create a character. Maybe the character's name would be Joanna. I hope there's no Joanna on the call. Maybe the character's name will be Joanna, and then we will go through Joanna's life from this stage to stage. So it's a good start. All right. Okay. So I'm done with the pre-writing stage. Yay. I'm going to take questions, but I'm going to share with you a question that I usually get and how we can navigate it. I don't think I'm a good writer. What can I do? Very important. So I'm sure some people were even put off by the topic because it's like, this is not for me. You haven't seen my sentences. The full stops and the comments are all over the place. I can't put together a nice sentence without making a mistake. How am I going to write a book? Big question. So there are different approaches to this. And so I want us to consider some of the alternatives that you have. All right. Now, if you have a desire to write, but you're not actually good at writing, you can consider some of the following steps. Now, it's just like I met someone recently. He's not a very confident singer, but he tells me he has songs. Like when he's there, the Holy Spirit gives him songs, and he was like, but he himself, he's not really like a total singer. So I said, then bring the songs. We have a choir. Let the choir do it for you, So the desire is what is important. After that, we will figure out the rest of the steps. So what you can do is, one, you can write what you can. So I've had people tell me, oh, I've just written a few things in my journal or in my diary. It's a start, it's a good start. So write what you can, whatever you put together, please write it. After this, I'm going to take questions. So please get ready. Write what you can, right? Write what you can. 2, collaborate with others. In research, there's a lot of collaboration. People are writing articles. Okay, I don't know, this is academic something. I don't know if I'm with the right target audience, but instead of coming out with your own book, have you thought about co-authorship? Have you thought about doing this with somebody? So I have about 2 books that I've co-authored, all of them with my husband, and it's mostly because he will bring the idea and write the thing, and I'll sit down and do the editing. Because I go like, what this topic there? Well, you have the idea, so you write it and bring it, and then I'll just add a few things, and then I'll edit it nicely, put it in shape. So for that, you may see my name on the book, and you may not really know the percentage of my contribution. You don't even need to know the percentage of my contribution. That's the same way. Nobody needs to know the percentage of your contribution. You can sit down and contribute a sentence and go like, oh, I have this idea, but I can see that you are very good at writing. So let's do it together. I'll give you the ideas and you develop them for me. So collaborating with others, there's nothing wrong in doing books together. We've seen it done over and over and again. Then the third option that you have is to get professional help to do it for you, which is ghostwriting. It's not so popular in Ghana, but I know ghostwriters in Ghana. So if you need the service of a ghostwriter, you can let me know. I've had people. I had someone call me recently. She wants to write about her life story. She doesn't even want to put a drop of ink on paper. She just wants the book to be ready. And I got somebody for her, and the person just told her, look, this is how much it will cost you. I need this information. She said even the information, she will not type it. She will send voice notes. The person said, fine, that's my work. You send the voice notes. I'll do all the book for you. And I think they are in the process of doing that. So and at the end of the day, all the credit goes to you. You paid for it, all the credit goes to you, and nobody knows how much of an input you made, but you are an author just sitting in your house. So if you don't think you are a good writer, but you are thinking, well, I could explore this writing thing, once you can get a good writer. So ghostwriting is different from editing. There are 2 different things. A ghostwriter writes for you from scratch. An editor is just massaging the book and doing revisions and all that. So that is what you have for you. Okay. I'm going to open my chat, see if I have questions. Okay, I have interesting questions. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Are you having problems in my sound? Can you, is it can I be heard clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I heard. Okay, so Ellie came as an interesting question about how you motivate yourself to write on days you don't feel like that. Okay, so yay, I have it later in the slide somewhere, so I'll talk about it. I'm too excited. Okay, to talk about it later. All right, so we are done. We have our idea. We know what we want. Maybe we are not even going to put pen on paper. Like that friend of mine who said, I don't want to do any work, but I want to write. Or maybe you are actually ready to put in a little effort to produce a Praise George kind of book. Or you want to write a big book, like a book somebody recently gave me over 200 pages that he's authoring. So you have all those options. All right. What do you do then? Okay, screen is not moving. Okay, I have another question. At what point do I choose my book title? We are not even there at all, at all, at all, at all. Some people start from the book title. We don't, it's forget it. Forget it. This is about writing now about book title. So whenever you are ready, all right. If you have the idea, say you start from there, but don't stop because I don't know what the title of the book is. No, 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 no. So recently, yeah, I was asked by someone who wanted to write. It's one of my big bishops. He wanted to, and he was asking me, how do I start? I told him, look, just do outline of the book. Forget about the title, forget about anything. Just do outline. The outline is like the classroom stage where you say, okay, I want to talk about this, this, this. So 3 things. That's all. You know that these are the 3 things you want to talk about in the book. Then you start writing about them. Later, we will develop it. How do I write? I'm going to share with us some practical tips. So this is really short to keep your writing going, because what I realize is that some of us lack the discipline to actually write. The discipline is a big problem. Or maybe you started writing a book before, but it's somewhere you don't really know where it is. So I'm just going to share some of my practical tips that I think can help you. Begin anywhere, whenever you are ready. Start writing whatever you want to write, whatever. It's a book. Nobody will know where you started from. You know, even for novels, sometimes we advise that you start at the end and then you weave it back to the very beginning, because the end, what you need to know is, why am I writing the book? What is it for? That's all. Then whenever you are inspired, whatever you want to put, you put it there. What you are writing on, make sure that you have access to a book that is similar to what you intend to write. Now, somebody's asking, what if there's no book like what I want to write? Anyway, that's what you think. Oh. Don't forget that the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. Anyway, if you think nobody has written what you have written before, you are like the first person who's ever going to write it, at least maybe when it comes to even the content structure, you've seen a book that looks similar to it. So you should be reading along, okay, something that looks like, maybe you want to do a picture book. You've not seen some before, but you've seen another book that has illustrations. So you ask yourself, okay, what can I pick from this book to do it? So my third point is related to it. Most of us don't like copying. It's like, I've gotten an original idea, come to like really, really blow everybody's mind. Look, if you want to write fast, we don't have time for that. You can just pick a book around and go like, this guy, I like the way he writes his book. So sometimes I tell pastors, men of God, that look, there's somebody's book. I'll not mention his name because it's a man of God that everybody knows. When you read the book, you can see that it's transcription of sermon. Like, it's not a book that somebody sat down and said, let me write point 1, point 2, point 3. It's a transcription of sermon. Even some of the sentences inside, you can see that the sermon was transcribed. So you can also decide that, well, why don't I take my sermons that I've been preaching, one sermon, transcribe the sermon, and follow this person's style, the way this person has written it. And you see that it's fast. It will make you move fast because you get someone to be typing for you and then you progress on it. So when you see a book you like, you see the way the person has written the book, say, oh, I like this style. Let me adopt it. I like this storytelling style. Let me adopt it. Something you can consider. Get an accountability partner. If you want to start writing a book, let me see how many minutes I have. Ooh, okay, my time is running up. Yay. Okay, so I'll probably just do the first thing. If you want to start writing a book, it's important to get someone who can help you. So accountability partners, when even in marriage and dating, they'll tell you to get somebody that, if you are, I don't know, if you're having issues or something. Okay, no, I don't know what they do anyway. But in book writing, their work is, maybe my friend is Ima, my friend is Gospel. Now I'll tell Gospel that, hey, Gospel, I'm coming to write a book this year, and I'm going to finish it by December. So Gospel's work is, when it's October 30th, he'll be saying, hey, the book, no, how far? Those things make us accountable and they help us to move, And so get an accountability partner. My accountability partner is my husband. He's always struggling because every day he's asking me, when are we writing? And I'm telling you that I write for a living. So to write books, it's not small for me. Okay. The other thing that you can do is write anywhere. This is important for me because, one of the things that I used to believe was that you should have like a writing space, like a table, chair, and all that, a place where you write. I don't know, maybe it's for melancholics or something. It's really good. But what if you are in town and you have an idea? Do you wait until you get home, you sit in that nice table, you open that nice book before you start? And you do that, you'll be slow. You get it? Because life is getting busier and busier. So the key is, if you are sitting in a trotro and like some idea comes, you can quickly type some, I don't know, one paragraph. You get it? But remember to synchronize the information you get. So for example, when you are typing on your phone, some of the apps allow it to synchronize with your email so that if you need to get the information on your laptop, you get it. Let's say you are typing the book on the laptop. You should, when you are typing on the phone, it shouldn't just be like something that your laptop will not be able to pick directly to work with. If you're writing in a book, then you have to find a way to synchronize it. But the key here is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, if you are eating, an idea comes, you put it down, you write it, so that we move fast. Make use of technology. I recently downloaded an app which is supposed to convert voice to text. So interesting. I was like, this is how I'm going to write in 2023. Brothers and sisters, I'm still here. But it is like, it's so, the reason why I give up was I don't like things that are not accurate. I have to go back and do it. But it's a tool, it's a technological tool that can help you. Okay. I like audio books to be reading. I need to read this book. Can I get an app that will convert it to audio for me? I like that. So if you have something that converts, that can help you, any sort of technology that can help you to write, make use of it. You can go on a writing retreat if you have a deadline to meet, and set writing targets. Okay, writing targets means that you can decide that by the end of this month, I should be done with my first chapter. After that, I should be done with this. After that, I should be done with that. So that's it. Next, I'm going to move into do's and don'ts of writing. Yay, I'll finish soon. Do's and don'ts of writing. All right. Start from menu. I've already spoken about that. Develop a practical writing routine. All right. Apparently, the human brain works very well with routine. Don't forget I said write anywhere, but develop a writing routine where you tell yourself that every day at 5 a.m. Okay, no, 5 a.m. is too late. 5 a.m. is too late. Many of us will get late to work if we start writing at 5 a.m. Maybe 4:30, you get up and you write, you say, okay, for 30 minutes, I'm going to be writing every morning or 3 times a week. What is important is that it has to be practical because it is for you. is nobody knows it. So you don't have to make it trying. Like you are the one who is come to use it to write on. So don't develop a routine that now it will be a burden to you, and now you be frustrated by your own routine that you set for yourself. Please, let's be practical. Try to write even when you don't feel so inspired. This is my super tip. Super tip. When you don't feel inspired, just write. All right. The last point says focus on adherence, not coherence. What it means is that when you feel like writing, write. Just make sure that it is around your subject matter, like what the book is about. But whether it fits in the chapter that you are in or it aligns with the paragraph before, don't worry about that. Is it around the same subject matter? Is that what you want to talk about in your book? Fine. Let's just write it. Later, we will focus on it. What you're not supposed to do, don't insist on starting at the beginning. All right, it's not worth it. When you are writing, try and get into a certain habit. All right, don't write and then 5 months later you now pick up the book. I think that's not going to help. It's not easy to write, but that's not going to help. And don't always wait for the perfect moment to write. There's nothing like that. And don't correct as you write, because you are going to slow down the whole process. So just tell yourself, okay, I'm going to just write, keep writing, and then eventually I will get to correct it one day. I'm going to take my FAQs and I'll take your questions, maybe one or two. I've been talking for so long. I need to like take a break and drink water. So I'll go through a common question I get, then please ask me one or two questions, even if you don't think they are so related to this. And who knows, it could be a blessing to someone. Then I'll just go through the last stage and then we'll be out of here. Have you ever heard of writer's block? Writer's block is you staring at the page and the page staring at you. That's what it is in Ghanaian parlance. So you're supposed to write, but it's like the book is writing you because you have no idea what to write. So people say there's something like writer's block. I don't think there's anything like writer's block, because even naturally, how many of us feel like writing like that? Like you are there, then many of us don't feel it so much because we feel that there are other important things to do. So what we do is that we force ourselves to it. It's like saying there's prayer block. Like I want to pray, but I don't have the desire to pray. Just get up and pray, because the prayer is important. So do it. It's not about feelings. You may be feeling sleepy, but the prayer is important. So the same way, all right, you don't always feel like writing, but you have to try to write. Just get your writing flowing. And then later, when you feel like you're inspired, you can get back into your block mode. At this point, I'll take one or two questions. Or don't you think I deserve a break? I deserve a break. Hey, you need an accountability partner. Okay, all right. Okay. Terry, do you have a question for me? You can't leave me here alone. Is there somebody who wants to ask a question? Yeah. Okay. Okay, you can.
Yeah, hello, I have a question.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see your name when you when you're.
My name is Pius.
Pardon?
My name is Pius.
Okay, hi, Pius. Lord
Yes,
says
so
there's a speaker's block. Okay, all
so
right. Yes, please, I'm
my
listening.
question is, let's assume I have an inspiration to write a book, but then
Okay.
I feel there are more experts that have already written on the subject. So I feel people have already written a lot about it. What makes mine special, or what makes mine stand out? How do I overcome that kind of feeling?
Okay. Okay. I want to say what makes yours special is that it's coming from you. So it's definitely going to be different. But I see exactly, like I understand where you are coming from, but there are different ways you can approach it. Okay. One of the ways you can approach it is sometimes you can, let's just assume you want to talk about, I don't know, what can I say? I want something that I can have different target audience for. Would you like to give me the topic of a book, for instance, that you'd like to write?
Mastery
Mastery of
of a
life.
field. Yeah, no, not just like
Okay.
a particular career or something.
Okay, all right. So let's say, okay, what career do I know? Okay, so maybe I'm into marketing. So maybe I would say um like mastery of marketing. So many people have written on it. You can't even imagine it. So the question I'll ask myself is, if so many people have written on it, why do I want to write on it? Is there like a perspective I feel people are not taking advantage of? So, for instance, I was speaking about a book I read about growth hacker marketing, which is just has just picked an aspect of marketing and has developed it into a book. So maybe in subsequent series, he can write about the different aspects of marketing. So you, for instance, you can ask yourself that, okay, so this field that people have written so much on, is there a particular area in this field that I could just pick and just capitalize on it? You get it? So that later you can come back to it, to another area or something. Maybe you feel that, because if you have a desire to write, it's probably because of your knowledge in a certain area, and you'll be surprised it's very different from what people think or the way people see things. Another way you can do it is to modify your audience. All right, is to modify your audience. So I you can have a book. I don't want to use myself for the example, but you can have a book maybe on mastery in this area, but you are thinking, okay, could I make this a book that is targeted at maybe Africa? I know somebody who writes a lot of his books about wealth transfer and everything. They're all about Africa. Or I could make it something that students will use. You get it? So you can do it like this area, how to become, or maybe for your those who are starting out in this career, these are some of the tips to note before you talk about the advanced ones. So you can also approach it from a different target audience and say, I want a younger audience for this book, or I want people like this for this kind of book, or I'll just focus on this area. But I don't think that you should you should say it's not good enough. And also speak to people, speak to people, speak to people in this area. When I was coming to have this presentation, I spoke to a lot of people and asked them that I'm speaking to a group of mixed people. What would they like to hear about book writing? Because I can be there and be assuming that if I come with all these stages, people will like it. But you know, you'll be amazed to see people say, oh no, I think people would like to hear this, people would like to hear this. Then you can focus on those things. I don't know if that helps, Pius.
Yes, please, it does. And I think that kind of brings to my mind more of like finding a research gap and then trying to fill it,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's true. You're welcome. It's okay. I give me academic jargon. Yes, find the research gap and fill it. All right. Okay. Are there any questions? You push,
Yeah,
you stop giving me fans and ask me questions.
sorry, my other question is maybe you
Okay.
could share some tools that you found useful for the writing process.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Because you
Okay.
mentioned something about writing everywhere. For instance, I tend to have creative ideas in the washroom. So I'm
Okay.
always carrying my phone along.
Yes.
Sometimes I just hit the shower and then I have to write. So do you
Yeah.
have tools that we could use probably in the trotro? I mean,
Your
based on your
phone.
experience, you could give us suggestions. Yeah.
Your phone. Your phone. I don't know. Like I'm saying, your phone. So that's why I'm saying that for me, because sometimes I like the audio, but sometimes I could have the idea and record it and put it down and then come and type. So the phone is like, for me, the basic thing. I recently said, and like I was saying, I'll just find the name of the app on the phone, which converts audio to text. So I'm speaking to it and it's typing out what I'm speaking to it. All right, which is also a tool that you can use.
Is that Ota?
I don't, that doesn't sound familiar. I hope I've not deleted it. Okay, I hope I've not deleted it. Okay, but I'm sure the one you are mentioning could also be helpful. So maybe you can just type it in the chat so that everybody can also find out what it is. It seems to me like I deleted it. It was making so many mistakes. All right, but those are, so your phone, that's all I can say. Your phone is for me. Okay, so Ota. Okay, no, that's not what I had. Something else. Text to speech, I remember. I mean, speech to text was very helpful. But your phone, just type, just record later. Someone sharing with me, keep notes, which synchronizes with your email, and then you can pick it. So any device at all, so if you lose your phone, you can have access to your notes from your email. You don't have to lose all the information that you had on the phone. That apps that come with the phone that you can also use. So wherever you are, you just use the ideas. Ooh. Okay, let me finish because time is going and I can see people are dropping. All right, so I'm going to talk about my last writing stage, which is the editing stage, which I think all of us should just open our mouths and learn, because editing is not just about your book, but whatever you are writing, it's good to have an idea of the editing. All right. So when you are editing your book, we divide into 3 stages: content, form, and grammar. So I'll just deal with the content. So you start with the content stage where you go over and then you ask yourself, are we on track? What did we set out to write? Have you written it? Have you written things that we don't need? Let's take it out. Let's keep the things that we need. Then the form is paragraph structuring, chapters. This paragraph will go better under this paragraph. Then we rearrange. But that is, you can only get here when you have written. So my brothers and sisters, please, the writing process is so important. This is like a luxury for people who have some content. But like I said, the book doesn't have to be big at all. You can say I'm doing 10 pages. You see, and the interesting thing is that when you do 10 pages Microsoft Word, by the time they do the typesetting and the formatting, you could be having like a 30-page book, especially if the size is small. And there you are an author with your name on it, and people will be reading and be saying, wow, powerful, powerful. They don't know that you're just having fun. Then the next thing we do is we do the grammar, which talks about punctuation and all those. That we call it copy editing and line editing. So that's your last stage that you go through. When you are editing your own work, what do you need to remember? Now, if you write emails at work, if you send messages to people, please remember these tips. Allow your book to breathe. Whatever you write, when you have to edit it, like give yourself some time. So sometimes at work, I write a lot. So then I finish writing, then I'll get out of the office. I'll go and walk around, pretend as if I'm drinking water, I'm doing something, just because I cannot come back to it the following day. But I also cannot edit it immediately I finish. So I have to give myself a break. I intentionally look for a colleague, tap the person. Sometimes I even go online, then I'll come back and come and read it. But for me, the best is you write the day before, then you wake up the following day and you edit it. So allow your book to breathe. Don't just finish writing, because your mind is in a mood. Then you take your time, you read out loud, because your mind is trained to read what it assumes it has written. So it's important. My camera is getting down. Then be ruthless. Be ruthless means when you write, you don't want to touch what you have written. Most of us are so attached to what we have written. We don't want to touch it. But if you want to be a good writer, whether it's a social media post, ask yourself that this social media post that you've written that is a paragraph. I don't understand the one that people write, then they write long post alert. Like, I'm wondering, is it because they couldn't cut it short or because they really needed to write? Ask yourself, this long thing I've written, can't I remove certain things and still make sense? So be ruthless, all right? Trust your instincts. You'll be reading and be like, listen, I'm not comfortable with it too. Just take it out. And then we also advise that you do one type of editing at a time. So when you're editing for content changes, you just do for content. You're not doing content and grammar at the same time. You miss out on so many things. All right, I think this will be my last slide on this. Why everybody needs a professional editor. And this is not because I'm a professional editor. So, but this is what we say, that no matter how good you are at writing, you can always do better. You can always have somebody with a different perspective. Everybody needs a professional editor at a point, and especially for the book writers, you know. And I would just share this experience recently. Just this week, I've had, he's somebody I've worked with before. He's like a man of God that I don't want to mention his name because probably somebody knows him on the call. This is like the third time he's brought a book back. Like, oh, for this book, I was reading it and I realized I didn't do it well. Oh, can you redo it for me? And I'm like, when you did it the first time, I'm sure somebody advised you to let a professional edit it, where you're like, oh, it's not anything. My guys have looked at it. Only for you to come by now, he's telling me that the kind of people he wants to give the book to doesn't think that this one will fly. And I'm thinking, if we are telling you now, you may think that, oh, it's not anything I've gone through. A professional editor is not like an English teacher or somebody who speaks very good English. The person has to be trained for it, because like what is happening to this man of God that I really respect so much is he has to now come back and now redo the books. So now even to get the books from the publishers to redo it from scratch, you realize that if I just taken my time to get it well done, it would have been better. So why do we need a professional editor? Because a good name is better than riches, because professional editors sometimes cost. They will charge you money. And you may be thinking you are wasting your money. Like, your little sister did English in the university. Why are you going to pay somebody to come and read through this? So, Charlie, let me just save that money that I'm going to pay somebody 1,000 Ghana to come and do this. And you'll be surprised that someone will pick your book and go like, why are there mistakes in your book? You get it. All right. There's other reason that it doesn't mean your English is bad at all. It has nothing to do with you not being a good writer. I am an English person. I've taught English many years. I work in communication, different things, but I still need someone to read what I write. Okay. So the other reason is that 2 heads and 4 eyes are better than one. So it's important. Like, I tell people that sometimes I write things as small as SMS message for a company. An SMS message, I have to review it. Someone has to review it. Another person has to review it. How many lines can as an SMS message? But just because it matters so much that it comes out well. Then also because there are some errors that only trained editors can pick out, which you may never pick out, you know. Recently somebody brought a book. The person said, oh, the person was writing a fiction story, and the person said, oh, I'm doing first person. It's like the perspective is I. So the person's narrating it from the point of view of the speaker. So I narrate the story through her. But when you are doing first person, what the person doesn't know is that because human beings are limited, because I'm doing first person, I can't tell what you are thinking in your head. So if you gave me a book where the character is the narrator, but the character can also read other people's minds, then it's a problem, because you and us, we are human beings here. We can't read what's in other people's mind. But you writing may not listen. But when you bring it to a trained editor, the person goes like, no, when you are using first person, the first person is not omniscient. So he cannot have no different perspectives at the same time. I don't know if you understand me, but I'm trying to give an example of what only trained editors can pick. And when you publish, know that, especially if you publish a book, if you make a mistake inside, you can't use correction fluid. You have done book launch. Will you call the people back and say, hey, so now there were mistakes here and here, I beg you, let's change that? You can't do it. So let's take our time and do it. And you have written, you have done well. It will even give you a good break. Send it off to a publishing house, a professional editor. Let them look at it for you. All right. Okay. Why do you want to know about AI? ChatGPT, is it for writing or for editing?
Or editing. Yes, editing.
Are you kidding me? ChatGPT, like, how will it edit it? Okay, no, I'm not supposed to be laughing. People really believe ChatGPT, but I don't. Okay, so I think it's very helpful. It's very helpful, but I don't know. For me, many times when I use it, it doesn't give me what I want the way I want it. So, for instance, people use spell checkers. Like someone will use Grammarly. I use Grammarly, but Grammarly cannot give me the human touch. Sometimes even the suggestions that it makes that you should correct, they are not even correct in the context of the sentence you're writing. And don't forget that you are not just editing grammar or something. Like, you want it to also make sense to people, relate to the target audience that you are looking at. You want it to sound correct. You get it? ChatGPT sometimes to give you ideas. It can correct. I don't know. Well, let me put my hand down. It can make edits, revisions. Yeah. But when you send it to a professional editor, then you see that there was something we missed here, or even they can give you suggestions that ChatGPT can never give you. Never, ever. And believe me, for somebody who uses it every day, I can tell you that it can't. So someone will read it and be like, this place, cry, you could have put this example here, or this place, this thing and this thing has happened. You could have put it this way, or maybe the way you presented it here, maybe your target audience wouldn't appreciate it. So let's use the AI as second step between your editing and the editor. So you edit it, you can let AI help you, and AI just, even Grammarly is AI, Perfect it is AI, even Microsoft Word, the spell checker is AI. Then after that, you make sure that another eye looks at it for you. So I think that would be, yes, that would be it. Okay, so I am ending. I think, yay, I did it. Okay, so as if I knew that it would end here. I've left
please,
my
one last
published.
question.
Yes, no, please ask. It's not last question. No, plenty questions. This is the
sure.
time for questions.
This is a
Okay.
question from me.
Yes, this is a
Please, I want to
question.
know, after somebody has published
Oh,
given to stores and then
please, hi.
others. Please, can you hear me clearly?
Hi. No, please take it again.
Okay, please. I'm asking about the fact that someone is done writing a book, published it, printed out, sent to many stores, schools, retail, and then after a month or two, he realizes that he's given a false information in the book. Yes, a false information in the book. What should the person do? What should happen?
Okay, I think it depends on the nature of the false information. Is it detrimental? Okay, no. Okay. Okay, let me start with the ideal, the ethical thing to do. The ethical thing to do is call back your books, take them, do a revision. You see, authors do books, they revise it all the time. You see a book, you see that 5th edition, 7th edition, all because information is always changing. So people must have the opportunity to update their information. So sometimes, maybe at the time you wrote the book, that information may have been accurate, but now it's no longer correct. All right. People have written books before about how it is impossible, maybe for the whole world to have a flu kind of disease. Somebody has written it before that, it's highly improbable until COVID came. Now, what do? of course, is you may now need to think about doing revisions to the book, and then so you now you have second edition and all that. That's something that you can do, but you also have to ask yourself that what is the magnitude of the false information? Is it that if it's a mass calculation that the answer is wrong, I beg you, take it down and change it. But sometimes you have to weigh things. But ideally, you should do a revision. So you should have a plan. Contact your publishers that, hey, we did 1,000 books. Unfortunately, there's a mistake. And so when I get money, I will come and we'll do another 100 so that we can distribute it. And then we make changes from time to time. But it's important that you pull it down. And yeah, you can decide to make it public knowledge if depend on the magnitude of the misinformation. But if not, we can just do a recall and try and do a revision. Yep. All right. Okay. If I have a book, but I don't have resources for editing, publishing, and marketing, are there companies in Ghana who I can have contract with to help push the book? This is a very interesting question. It was part of my other slides. So I guess I have to make the slides available to the leaders because I have slides on publishing and slides on marketing. So Ima has a very interesting question. Now, the challenge in Ghana is that we don't have a lot of traditional publishers in Ghana. In fact, in developing countries, they don't really do that. So what traditional publishers do, especially outside the country, somebody like J.K. Rowling, she just writes like the writer of the Harry Potter series. There's a company that has made it their job to take her writing, edit it, publish it, market it, sell it for her. Then when the money comes, they have a percentage, they share it. Unfortunately, in Ghana, it's so difficult. If there is, maybe I'll find out for you. But what they used to do, because I used to work as an external editor for a publishing firm, what I know they used to do is that they used to do what they call print on demand. And print on demand just means they will guide you through the process. And when you come, there's nothing like this is the minimum number of books you can print. Even if you want 5 books, they will do it for you because it's just to encourage authors to be able to write. And what I can say is that you may not have all the money now, but do you actually know how much it costs? Do you know? Because sometimes we are here and we make assumptions about like it's expensive. Say, hey, it's expensive. Hey, do you know how much it's? But do you really know? Because you'll be surprised to find out that you can get an editor for your book for 100 or 200 cedis, depending on the size of your book. Then they'll do cover design, maybe 300 cedis. Then they'll say, okay, we'll do the formatting, the typesetting, and the publishing for you, the printing for you on demand. That one too. Then you realize that on demand, if one book is 10 cedis, I'm printing one book for 10 cedis. I can do 50 Ghana and be selling. So even though I'm not aware of any traditional publishers, there are many companies that help authors to make it easier for them to publish. So just find out. By now you should know. Please, at this stage, how much do I need? At this stage, how much do I need? At this stage, how much do I need? Then we can do, if it's just 100, you can get today. Next year, you print another 100. You do it like that. Then, of course, you can also consider e-publishing. So you're talking about putting your books online, Amazon, Kindle, ebooks. Fantastic. I think our second book, we did an ebook. We don't have any hard copy. The one I co-authored with my husband. And it's great because, well, you only pay for the formatting. You get it? You don't pay for the printing unless so some of the companies like Amazon, Kindle, what they do is that you just do the book, they'll do the e-copy. If someone wants a hard copy, they will bear the cost of the print and everything and send it to the person, and then they'll pay you whatever. So they will charge the person based on how much they think the printing of the hardcover book will cost them, and then you are free. The only thing is that ebooks in Ghana are not a thing yet. I always tell people we are so fascinated by many things, but we are still not there yet. It's not a big thing yet, even though it's gradually changing. So you may want to still make a few copies, hard copies available for people who would want to have it, and then do that. So I think I've answered that question as well. I'm about ending. Any more questions? Lord, you've asked. Okay, Lord has asked me a lot of questions. Thank you so much. Ima, thank you for your question. Hey, hi Lamour. Okay, I don't know if he's still here. Thank you, V. Thank you, Gospel. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Ellie Kem, Reverend Philip. Okay, Pius. Okay, I'm seeing the same names. Okay. Okay, all right. Yes, so I had another question like this in the later slides. I think I'm a prophetess. I kind of anticipated all these questions. All right, so this is a good question. And like I would say, this is what ChatGPT might not be able to tell you. Okay, so I asked people that when you are listening to a song, when do you feel like this song is boring? I mean, when do you feel like the song is too much? And I think the answer is the same when the song begins to get boring. Like, why are they repeating the same thing? Can't they move to another thing? I mean, we heard it. So too much information is when the book begins to get boring or repetitive, right? But guess what? You yourself might not be able to notice that. Or better still, even if you notice it, because of how you suffered to write, you don't want to cut it down. So the best thing is just give it to someone. Just give someone. Even now, we have what we call beta readers, or what we call in Ghana beta reader, BETA readers. Beta readers is a community, online community, where new writers, we give people your book and they give you reviews, right? So they'll read the whole book. You don't pay anything. They'll read the whole book. They'll send you their comments. These people can advise you, but you yourself ask yourself this information: is it repetitive? Is it boring? But I know writers, it's like, hey, don't touch what I wrote, don't touch what I. So we there, when we come, we remove our heart and then we just remove the places that are not supposed to be inside. All right. Okay, so thank you. I think you should have access to the PowerPoint. I think you should. What are my services? Hey, Lord, interesting question. Lord is asking about my services. Anything writing, editing. All right. This is what I want to say in conclusion, that thank you all so much for staying here till the end. I hope we've learned a couple of things about writing generally. I hope that it was relevant to you, whether you intend to write a book or not. But if you have, no, I don't mean as insensitive. No, it has nothing to do with sensitive. I mean, sorry, Gloria.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, at what point do you say this is too much of a sensitive information to pass it out? Like,
okay.
So I'm going to, so with the recent Yvonne Nelson's book that came out, yeah, so at what point do you say that, okay, this is too much information for the public, but writer, you need to write it. So at where do you find the balance where you want to be very authentic with your writing and yet still maybe apply some kind of emotional intelligence when writing?
Okay, so I think that I mentioned something about trusting your instincts, right? I mentioned something about trusting your instincts, and whatever you write, even sometimes, even social media posts, sometimes you read someone's, you'll be cringing, like, why did the person write this thing? Like, isn't that too much information? And probably when the person was typing, the person felt it, but the person just decided, let me go ahead. But you, I think ethically, you have to ask yourself if the information you're putting out about the person is going to damage the person's reputation in any way. Unless you are an investigative journalist and your work is to expose people, I think that, like Bible says, we cover faults. We and Yvonne Nelson's book is like so interesting. It's almost as if she's trying to say, I don't want to say the thing, but she has said it. But we have to be honest, and we have to tell ourselves that I don't want information out there that will I don't want information out there that is going to damage anybody's reputation. So when you are writing, get to a certain point, you ask yourself, is this too much information? But to be very honest, what can help you, and I can't say it enough, is just have someone else look at it. Just have someone else look at it and let the person tell you, oh, Gloria, this place I think is too sensitive. This place, I don't think we can share it like that. And you'll be amazed. And the books that people bring out, they are so different from what they wrote originally, because the editors tell them the truth that, hey, this place and this place, I think we should take it out. Okay, that's also another approach. And my friend's approach, where she's doing she wants to write about her life, but she's doing it like it's a novel. So she's not mentioning her name, she's using another person's name, and it's just writing about the person's life growing up till marriage and all that. It's like Smart Money Woman, the way it's written. I don't know how many of us have read it too, but it's somebody's life, but she has done it like a novel between a girl and her friends, so that even the identity of people is protected. But at the end of the day, we know that she's writing about her life. So to solve all this problem, let someone else have a look at it and tell you that, oh no, I don't think you should share this. Sometimes you're even sending a WhatsApp message. Someone can look at it and say, no, don't type it like this. Send it like this. All these things are petty things that we can use to help ourselves. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you too. Thank you. And let's write, okay? Let's write. We are Christians. We have to crystallize the knowledge. We have a generation that is lost ahead, coming, children coming up, exposed to so much. And there's so much information from the secular world that I feel that Christians, that God needs to anoint and raise some book writers amongst us, songwriters, movie producers, who will just produce things that the future generations can have access to. So please, if you have a desire, don't stop it, cry. If you need help, just let us know and let's help you. But let's decide that whatever knowledge we have, we will crystallize it for the next generation to benefit from it. Thank you. God bless you. And thank you. I'm handing over to my people. Hopefully this will be my last time. People should invite us for more meetings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've learned so much from your presentation. Yeah. And I think we are encouraged to go and write more. I'm going to start by writing my name this evening, and then
your name, right?
Yeah, I'll start from my name and then we'll take it from there. Well, thank you so much for this amazing session.
Okay.
The recording will be made available on our YouTube channel. So in case anyone wants to revisit it, we'll share the link shortly after the meeting so that you have access to it. We will take a few announcements. Our time is fast spent, so we'll take a few announcements and then we will call it a day. Yeah, and then next month we will have another wonderful session. So please make it a point to be present. So whilst I did the announcement, I will share my screen briefly, where you can send your offering, your contribution to support the work of the alumni. We are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and we really need your support in terms of resource in terms of human resource, financial resource, all kinds of resource. Yeah. So we would need that. I'm going to share my screen shortly, and then the number will be on your screen. Kindly do that. So like I stated earlier, our next edition of Times of Refreshing for October will come off. We'll communicate the date, the speaker, and then the topic later on our platforms. On that note, if you are not on any of our platforms, kindly reach out to myself or Brother Terry we'll add you to our WhatsApp platforms so that you can get in touch with the family. And when we do that, kindly also reach out to your year group, members from your year group, your friends, and those who are part of the alumni network to kindly join us. There's so much that we learn. Sometimes we have wonderful discussions on the platform. I believe we'll be blessed. Yes, so on that note, I think we'll call it a day. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, and share our videos because I believe a lot of people will benefit from what our speaker has blessed us with this evening and what our subsequent speakers and our previous speakers have blessed us and are going to bless us. Thank you so much. We will call on, okay, Brother Emmanuel, can you please give us the closing prayer even as we end for today? Okay, if he can't hear me, then Brother Gospel, please do us the honor, giving us a closing prayer.
All right, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for MFR and for everybody on the call for all the invaluable knowledge that we received. We thank you.